Welcome. You are here for the City of Alameda Parklet webinar. My name's Amanda Gerke. I'm with the Community Development Department. We had a little technical difficulty when we recorded this. We missed the first 4 slides. So we are re-recording those for people who are watching the recording, and then we will connect to the original presentation after slide 4. So you will get all of the Q&A that was associated with that. So with that, I'd like to introduce Eric Fonstein, who's going to do further introductions and go through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I'm Eric Fonstein, and I'm also with the Community Development Department. Today on this webinar, we also have Rochelle Wheeler, Transportation Planner, and Lori Kozacek, and Danya Ameri with the Public Works Department. So now I'll hand it off to Rochelle.
Thank you, Eric, and welcome to everybody who's watching this recording. I'm Rochelle Wheeler with the city's Transportation Planning Unit. And so what is a parklet? You can see a photo right here of a more substantial one, but it's an area that basically extends the sidewalk and creates amenities for the street and for the community to use for sitting, drinking a coffee, outdoor dining. Sometimes that is also space for bicycle racks. And typically it's called a parklet because it uses a former parking space. So that's the definition. And next slide, please. So our program here with allowing for a streamlined process for obtaining parklets in the city of Alameda is to support businesses, and to support businesses when they are able to do outdoor dining, to be able to do that with social distancing, and to basically create more space for businesses to be able to operate, since indoor activities are so strictly regulated right now and limited. So our goal is to help businesses and also create a more lively street community and a street space. Next slide, please. So what we've done is we've created an encroachment permit process for parklets, and that's allowing applicants to use the public right-of-way. This is in any commercial district in the city, to use the public right-of-way. And through November 3rd, we're just issuing these temporarily, and we'll be reconsidering whether to continue to allow them or not based on the situation with what's allowed and what's not allowed per the county at that time. And what these encroachment permits allow, once they're issued, are the creation of a parklet space that can be used for outdoor dining, also serving that food and beverages, alcohol if permitted, which Eric will talk about when I'm done. They also can be used as an area for customers to line up, to wait for their to-go orders or their curbside pickups. They can be used for displaying merchandise, and they also just allow generally for social distancing, so that people are giving enough space as they're passing other people. They do require that 8 feet of space still be allowed along the sidewalk between where the outdoor dining space is and the building frontage, so that people can continue to walk freely on the sidewalk. And finally, these spaces for parklets, once permitted, are allowed to be used only by that business during that business's operating hours. But during non-operating hours, it is actually a public space, and a sign is required to be posted on the parklet to notify everybody of that. Eric, did you want to fill in about the alcohol permits?
Thank you very much. So alcohol, serving alcohol is allowed under our encroachment permit for the parklets. However, once it's allowed under our local encroachment permit, but businesses need to comply with this county and the call requirements. So once you satisfy those county and regulatory requirements, you will be permitted to serve alcohol in the parklets.
Right, next slide. So where would these parklets go? So in any commercial district around Alameda, the existing parking space could be taken up. So that would be a metered space, or it could be a 2-hour limit space, or whatever it is. And that space would be able to be used up to 6 feet from the curb line, the existing curb. And then on streets like Park Street, which will be restriped as of tomorrow, and in the future Webster Street, because the parking is moving out towards the center of the street, we have our current parking lane, and then then we'll have our new parking lane, right? So what we're calling those is our, you could actually take up both of those parking spaces and create what I like to call a double wide parklet. So those parklets would extend up to 14 feet from the curb. And Eric will be talking about barriers, but because any parklets that are next to a travel way or a vehicle lane will need a more substantial barrier for obvious reasons. And we just want to emphasize, and you'll see this a lot in this slideshow, please talk to us, please ask questions, talk to us about what you want. We can give you feedback, even if you haven't fleshed out your complete idea yet. If you're not understanding what's permitted, talk to us, and we're very eager to see parklets be implemented throughout the city, and really want to work with you on that. So I'll pass it with that to Eric.
Yeah, we're taking applications now. So in terms of the barriers, it depends whether you'll be adjacent to the parking or oncoming traffic. If the parking is going to be adjacent to traffic, we're looking for some sort of a substantial barrier, just to prevent someone who might be seen down at a table accidentally falling over, someone tripping. We don't want them to trip into the traffic. So we want to protect the public. We also want to make sure that small children won't be able to squeeze their head through a fence or somehow enter into that traffic. We want to make sure that there's public safety. If it's next to a parking lane, just make sure that there's adequate distance and space for like allowing car doors to open for that adjacent parking space. The basic rule is for opening up the public realm and for Park and Webster Street is customers must feel safe and secure in these parklets. And that's basically what we'll be looking for in terms of barriers. But again, as Rochelle said, and you'll hear this again, talk with us. If you have any questions, if you don't know, unsure how the city will react, well, just talk to us. We're here and we're very anxious and excited about this program. Also, the parklets need to be ADA accessible. And there's basically 2 options. Well, one is either developing a platform, whether it's raised on pallets, or building a ramp. Also, though, if we're open to, if you want to share the parklet with an adjacent business, there's a series of parklets. If there's one ramp that's accessing through 1 or 2 adjacent parklets, we're open to that as long as there's that ADA access. And the ramp should be no greater than 8% slope. But again, any questions that you have, please talk to us. We are looking for insurance. The insurance requirements are stated on the back of the application. Basically, the major things is the city needs to be listed as an additional insured. The city of Alameda, the council officers and employees, it mentions the wording on the back. Also, minimum of $1 million of certificate of insurance for general liability, workers' comp. All of that is laid out on the back of the application. We would now like to show you just some examples around in the East Bay and the Bay Area of different parklets. These pictures were in Walnut Creek, and you see an example on the left of the ramp, ADA access. Also that the tables are far apart for social distancing. Also, they're small tables, not a large group could be seated at a table, again, for social distancing requirements. On the right, you see more of a fencing. Again, it's something that people can't accidentally fall into the lane of traffic, or children can't squeeze into and enter into the traffic. Again, these are a little bit, get a better sense of the separation between the traffic and actually parklets. And these were just recently taken in Walnut Creek. And by the way, we'll post this on the website, and we're recording this webinar, and we'll post the webinar up on our website as well. Another example of ADA access into the parklet with the fencing. On the right, a little bit more substantial barrier. Again, people feel secure and safe in that environment. And that's really important for the customers, making the customers feel safe. And a couple of other examples. These, I think, what we want to show is that these could be implemented hopefully rather quickly. If you have questions, again, talk to us. And we want to be able to help the businesses out and generate activity on Park and Webster Street. And here's an example, Albany, of using wine barrels. Also, just want to point out another option for businesses is if you have, if there's a private parking lot adjacent to your business, you could use those parking lots now for outdoor dining, seating, customer waiting area, or display of merchandise. You could do that right now. It's covered by our permit, so you could use this space immediately. And these are taken Walnut Creek, and you can see also they provide for adequate spacing between the tables. And then Rochelle. I think you're on.
All right, I couldn't unmute myself. So yeah, so once you're ready to, you have your idea and you're ready to apply, or if you want more information, on our Commercial Streets webpage, which the link is shown there. If you go there and then click on permits for parklets, you'll see this links to 3 different documents. The permit application, which is what you'll need to fill out and submit. The parklet conditions, which you'll need to just read and make sure you're following those, and those will get attached to your approved parklet application after it's approved, and you'll need to be following what those are saying. And then lastly, what you'll also need to read and follow is your application requirements and the design guidelines for the parklets. So you can read up on all of that, and that reiterates a lot of what we have talked about here, plus there's more information in those documents. The next slide. So basically what you would be submitting to us, the package, would be a site plan, which shows the footprint of the parklet, and also the types of barriers, the property line, where your sidewalk is, where the parking spaces are that you're using, where fire hydrants are, and critical things like that. and then where you would be putting your tables and chairs and, like I said, the barriers. So you would have, that would be one sheet, and it can be very simple. We'll show you an example in a minute. It can be hand drawn. You can take an aerial picture in Google and then overlay your drawing on top of that, or your hand draw it on top of that. We're not looking for anything, it doesn't have to be done by an engineer or an architect. You'll need to fill out that application. And then the third thing you need to submit is your certificate of insurance. And that shows that you're meeting those insurance requirements. And it shows us that you have added the city as an additional insured as well. And then again, if you have questions about any of this, talk to us and we can help provide more instruction or detail. Next slide. And this is an example of a site plan, and it's been broken into 2 pages, but it doesn't have to be. On the left, you'll see that, and this is actually the first Parklet application that the city has received, and the first and only one we've received, and the first and only one, I believe, ever that the city of Alameda has approved. Somebody can correct me later if I'm wrong. But this is for Daisies on Park Street. And thank you to Ron Mooney and Daisies for allowing us to show this to everybody as an example. So on the left, you can see is the kind of big picture site plan with where the parklet will go, where the parking lane is, where the sidewalk is, where the building is and the entrances. And then on the right is the more detail about the parklet. And you can see it's done on graph paper, it's hand drawn, and that's just totally fine. So yeah, great. And then that's it for me. So yeah.
Just to conclude, this is a temporary through November. We really want to make this a success working with the businesses and with the business districts, WABA and DABA. Perhaps we'll evaluate along the way, but maybe parklets might become a permanent feature on Park and Webster Street. To see other examples of more permanent parklets, you can go to this website, shows some examples in San Francisco. We want to be very brief to allow more times for question and answers, and we have people from Public Works to help answer any questions. So that concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Eric. If you wouldn't mind turning off the share screen, that way we'll be able to tell, there we go, if people have questions, and I guess I should start my video again. So you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat. You can also wave or raise your hand electronically. One thing I am going to do is ask everyone from Public Works, I'm going to ask you guys to all come off mute. You may have noticed that if you do mute yourself, you won't be able to unmute yourself. So that way you guys will be able to answer questions. Okay, so there's quite a few questions that have come in the chat box. One question is this being recorded? Yes, it is. I did press the record button a little later than I would have liked, so we might have to add a little bit to the front, but we will have a recording posted to the city's website. So first question is, in the parklet lane, what happens to the space in front of a business that does not wish to have a parklet?
I can answer that. This is Rochelle. So if you are not on Park or Webster Street, what would happen is whatever's happening right now, right there, whatever is happening there right now would continue to happen. So if it's a parking space or if it's a yellow zone or whatever it is, it would continue to be that. If you are on one of the areas of Park or Webster Street that is getting restriped, it would either be just an open space where a parking space used to be, because again, the parking will have moved out towards the center of the street, or someone else, maybe a neighboring business, will install a parklet there. So those are the possibilities.
Okay. Thanks, Rochelle. Next question. In the adjacent parking lane, will you be able to open a car door that is parked adjacent to the parklet?
Yes, you will be able to. Yeah. We're striping a 2-foot double stripe with hatching in between, and we'll be putting some flex posts or delineators along there, and that's creating a little bit of a buffer between the parking and where the parklet would be. And Danya, did you want to add anything more to that space? But I think that's the amount of space that would be there, and it'll be a little bit more because I think the parklet can only be 6 feet wide, so then that allows a little more space even for the car door to open.
Sure, I can add a little bit to that. Oh, I'm somehow hearing an echo. Let me mute one. Can you hear me? Okay, great.
We're still getting the echo though.
Oh, I hear an echo too. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just turned off my phone. So out in the field today when we were cat tracking, which is basically laying out the striping for what will happen tonight, we did notice that the dimensions on the plans that the consultant did for us was about 1 foot off. So we are keeping the travel lane at 11 feet so that we're not shrinking down the travel lane anymore. So there will be an 11-foot travel lane, and the parking lane will be 7.5 feet.
Thank you. So the next question is, will the slide deck be sent out after the presentation? So we actually don't have the email addresses of everyone on here, but we are going to post it to the Commercial Streets website. And I put that link in the chat, and I'll just pop it in there again for folks who need it. That's also where you go to find all of your permit applications, the guidelines, all the information referenced in the presentation. So the next question is, will there be parking in between parklets that are not used?
This is Rochelle. I think I answered that one a little further down, and it depends. If you are on Park or Webster Street, again, because that street is being restriped and the parking lane is converting to a parklet lane for the entire section, then there would not be parking. But if you're on a different commercial street, then whatever is there now, and it might be parking, would continue to be there next to a potential parklet.
Thank you. Yeah, and I probably will ask folks to repeat answers for things that are in the chat, just so people who are listening to the recording will be able to hear them. So there was a clarifying question here. Says, you mentioned that there may be times when a business can extend 14 feet from the curb. Is that correct?
So that, yeah, since I mentioned that, I'll answer that. So that is what we call the double wides. And again, that can only happen on where we have that space, which is what we're doing by restriping Park Street, and we will be doing with Webster Street. So on those areas that are restriped, they would be able to take up both the existing, what we see today, the existing parking lane, and then the future parking lane that's moving towards the center of the street. So that's essentially kind of like 2 spaces next to each other. And that's the only case where it would be 14 feet from the curb.
Okay. So then we had a question, do the business districts need to be added as additional insured, or is it just the city?
We don't, it's just the city.
Okay.
And that's all, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a separate with the business, the WABA and DABA, we have issued them an encroachment permit, and that includes their insurance coverage.
So do businesses on Park and Webster in the restriped areas, they do need to submit for insurance, or are they covered under the encroachment permit?
They still need to submit.
They need to submit their insurance for the parklet with naming the city as the additional insured. The business districts also has an overlay insurance, so that the two combined will provide adequate coverage for this program.
Okay, great. Why has it taken the city so long to get this program going? Oh wait, we have a, hold on one second. We have a comment here from Lois. I'm gonna ask her to unmute.
Hi, I believe Kathy wanted to say something about insurance for the business districts.
Oh, okay, Kathy? Looks like she's okay. Here, hold on. I'll ask her to unmute in case she does.
As long as, we just wanted to make sure that as long as that it was, that the individual businesses were covered this way, that was fine. We had originally understood that they would have to add each of the business districts as an additional insured.
I'll verify that. I just want to make absolutely sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so why has it taken so long to get this program going? Other cities have been doing it for years.
Well, I think I partially answered that in the chat, but I'll repeat that. I think we've had this Parklet program on the books, and Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, since 2003, but it was a much more cumbersome process. It required going to the Transportation Commission and getting their approval and a lot more steps. So we've streamlined the process. But I believe a business could have submitted for a Parklet before this. Is that correct, Lori? Lori, can you hear us?
I think
is she frozen?
Oh, she might be frozen, but we have had a Parklet program for a number of years. Yeah.
I would also like to add that we're one of the few cities in the East Bay or in the Bay Area that's actually restriping in order to expand this program. We're moving from 4 travel lanes down to 2. So this is an additional step that the city is taking to move this forward. So it's, and we've been moving as quickly as we can through Public Works, through Fire Department, working with all the different actors involved. So.
The next question is, what is the permit fee? I think that goose egg is the answer there. There's no, is that right, that there's no permit fee for this one?
Yeah.
That's right.
If your business is on a corner, can we extend the Parklet onto the adjacent street?
I think that's a good one for Lori.
Yes, I believe that the language is that it includes it includes side streets, and you only have to have like a 6-foot space between the building and the Parklet, or you need a flow through area of 6 feet rather than 8 feet. So yeah, it can be done as long as the side street has a wide enough sidewalk.
So the Parklet could go around the corner? Or would it
not around the corner, but you could have one on Park Street and you could have another one on the side street. You can't go around the corner because there's crosswalks.
Got it. So here's a question that's concerned that the space provided by parking spaces won't be enough to really make a difference for restaurants. Has there been any discussion to close all of Park and Webster Street on certain times of day?
Kat, or I was thinking Kathy or Eric, do you want to answer that?
We're working very closely. We've talked with both LABA and DABA about closing Park or Webster Street or some maybe of the adjacent streets. That would come under our special event permit, and it would be for maybe a specific day or time of day. But yes, that's something that we're open to, but it would not be closing those avenues for like a week or on a semi-permanent basis. It would just be for a temporary basis. But we're open to ideas, talk to us, and we're working very closely with Kathy and Linda. I don't know if Kathy or Linda would like to say anything else about that.
I'm happy to, yes. We are, I think it is something that, we're looking, we'd like to kind of as an extension of the city's Slow Streets program to enable folks to kind of have a little more room to spread out a little more. There wouldn't be, you know, activities and things going on, you know, like our normal street fairs. It would just provide an additional area for restaurants to put some additional tables out for businesses to kind of come out a little more and provide that additional space.
Thank you. Linda, did you want to add anything? I can unmute you if so. Here. Hold on. You need to unmute.
Unmute.
Oh, you're unmuted.
Thank you. So we've talked a little bit about it, but what we were able to do, because we have an empty lot that construction won't be for a while, that we're going to use that empty lot, much like I think Dov is going to use Alameda Avenue. We're going to use the Taylor Webster lot and create al fresco dining there. So because of that, we don't have the need really to look at closing the street. So I just wanted to clarify that at our end.
Thank you.
And I would just add that, yeah, we've been working closely with WABA and DABA, and the city, from our perspective, is kind of putting everything out there, like, and just looking to those business districts to lead on what they would like to see done. So whether that's closing Parker Webster Street for, you know, a day or a weekend or a weeknight or an evening, or you know, temporarily fully closing one of the side streets or a segment of those side streets like Alameda Avenue, or even whether it's using some space in one of the city parking lots. So we are ready and willing to work on those with the districts.
Can the businesses use the installed bollards as the parklet divider if you are not extending beyond the 6 feet?
That's a good question for you, Lori.
Are you talking about the bollards that are going to go in to define the new lane? I mean, that's not enough to keep people corralled in a parklet. You need some kind of fencing.
Okay, so I think that answers the question. There would need to be some kind of fencing in addition to the bollards. Okay.
Oh, I think Danya wants to unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry, Danya, are you muted again? Oh, thank you for letting me know.
She might want to add.
Thanks. I'll just echo what Lori just said, is that the plastic bollards, the K71s that are being installed, so for the full stretch of park, we will have 65 in total getting installed. So it's actually not enough, and as you guys know, they're plastic, so that wouldn't be safe enough to call that as the separation between the dining area. That's just mostly for us to help lay out the street in a reduced 2-lane design for you to then approach us and give us a parklet design that is safe. But yes, that alone won't work.
Thank you. So the next question is, can full height metal storage containers be used? Yeah, be used. Can full height metal storage containers be used?
What's full height?
That's a great question. I'm going to see if John, this is a question coming from John. I'm going to see if I'm able to unmute him, but I don't see that as an option. He might be calling in. Yeah, so hold on, maybe he can add more information at the bottom. John, if you can hear me, if you can type your question in or type a little more information in, then I think we can better answer your question. Let me just see if he's John's iPhone. Oh, he says 9 feet high.
No, we don't really want 9 feet high.
That's too high.
There, yeah. We want some kind of a ability to see through. Is you're going to have people parking and pulling up and doing takeaway and all kinds of activity going on. That would be too much of a barrier. That'd be like having a giant truck there.
Okay, understood. Okay, hold on. I gotta find where we were with the questions. This one I think has been answered, but just to clarify, are parklets only for Webster and Park, or will other streets be allowed to have a parklet?
Any commercial district can have a parklet.
Great.
With the problem that if they're on central portions of Central and Encinal are state routes, and you have to get, it's a lot more hoops to jump through to get on a state route, and we're working on that.
Yeah, although I think we are not pursuing the parklet option for that because it would be very cumbersome. So it's true. So not on the state highway portion of Central and Encinal.
That would just be dining on the sidewalks then.
Sidewalk dining, or pursuing that, yeah. But we have to get, the city has to apply to Caltrans to get an encroachment permit to allow even the short-term parking signs, because that is all Caltrans right of way, including the sidewalks. So we are working on applying to Caltrans to allow the short-term parking signs and to allow this outdoor sidewalk dining.
Thank you. Can people add string or festoon lights to their parklet?
Well, the problem with that would be how you're going to plug them in. We don't want a cord draped across the sidewalk. It may be that you can have it go across the sidewalk up at 8 feet high on a pole, but no, you can't just snake it across the sidewalk.
But talk to us. Tell us what you're.
Yeah, Ron, did you have a comment you wanted to make? I can unmute you. Here, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you read the guidelines, it says that if you want to put lights in, you can, and we can check with the, like if it's on Park Street, there are power poles, but it's in one of those documents that we were working on. But right, it has to be at the height level to go across safely.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Will restriping be happening in commercial neighborhood zones such as Lincoln Avenue and Encinal Avenue?
No.
So right now the focus is Park Street, and shortly after we'll start the design for Webster. So due to COVID and this immediate response and getting the striping work done, Lincoln or some of our other business areas are not. So kind of like that is a priority. Like right now we were working on Park, Webster will be next, and we haven't yet entertained a third area for now.
But I guess I would say if there is interest from enough businesses, talk to us and reach out. For Lincoln, as we said earlier, Encinal and Central are part of the Caltrans right-of-way, and so I don't think that we would pursue trying to restripe those streets. That would have to be, Caltrans would have to work on that, and that would be a very, probably the pandemic would be over by the time we could get approval for that.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is the plan for safety during the initial confusion of drivers when the parklets are first established?
So one of the first things, I don't know if you guys have driven around yet, is we did put 2 changeable message signs on the 2 ends before you enter the, I guess, work zone or the area that the lane drops are taking place. We will have those changeable message signs up for 2 weekends. So through this weekend and the following Monday, they'll get picked up so that we have, you know, visitors from out of town seeing that before they come in. And so until we start seeing our parklet designs, our, you know, we have the buffered lane with the bollards, reflective borders, and I've also, we're putting yellow reflective tape around the signal head so that they're getting, you know, if you're driving, you could see the signal head hopefully a little bit better. And just communication and hoping that the business community helps kind of spread the word and get people to slow down and be careful and take additional precautions as everyone is adjusting to the new configuration.
All right. So the next question is, are umbrella and sail canopies okay?
Umbrellas are okay, but we don't want large areas blocked off like you would have with a sail.
Laurie, I think we're having trouble hearing you. Maybe we can come back to Laurie in a minute.
For this situation.
Oh, there you are. Could you repeat what you just said? We missed part of that.
Umbrellas are okay. They should not hang out over the parking lane or the drive lane. Sail canopies are getting a little bit extensive for something that's just like 6 feet wide, 7 feet wide.
Would they be allowed if proposed, or is it so you'd have to talk? They'd have to talk to you about it.
They'd have to talk to me. It'd be a pretty small sail canopy. Ones I've seen are pretty big.
And I think Eric did a great job just mentioning that all of us on this call and just those who are not here, I guess we have a twofold goal, right? One is to ensure that the businesses are doing well, the community's coming out, supporting our local business and being safe during this global pandemic. So wearing masks, keeping your space, kind of coming out of the house to have an opportunity to dine or hang out and be safe. And the second piece is with the city taking such a great leap and doing this lane reduction, we are counting on you guys, even in your proposals, to think as safety as your #1 goal, even beyond keeping the businesses busy, because you want your customers to feel safe when they're visiting you or walking around or parking or navigating through a bike or something. So when you propose canopies and other umbrellas, just think would this look safe, and you could bring one and borrow one and just kind of test it out yourself before you propose it. But we want to help approve as many applications as possible. But even before us saying no, you could probably use your good judgment and say, you know what, if I was standing here, I think I would not be able to see a car coming that way, or if someone was crossing that crosswalk, another vehicle probably wouldn't see them. So just kind of use that mindset when you're proposing a design. We definitely want people to have some shade. Just if you're in the corners, you definitely want to be more careful that you're not impacting site visibility with your parklet design.
Thank you.
Sure.
So the next question is, what actual businesses will be using Alameda Avenue and the lot at Taylor and Webster? Is this for restaurants or merchandise? And this might be a great question for Kathy and Linda to answer. Kathy, do you want to start about, I don't know if you guys have gone, I know we're not really there yet, but if you guys have gone as far to think about what the process would be for choosing the businesses to be able to be on Alameda Avenue?
That we had looked at as being more of an open general gathering area as opposed to activated by a specific business. That being said, if there was an exercise class that wanted to, do some socially distant and approved activities in that space, I think that would be something we could certainly look at. But as far as designating that as, to a specific restaurant or business, we haven't talked about that. But I think our thoughts was that it would be more in general.
Thank you. And Linda, did you want to speak to the Webster Taylor lot?
Sure. So currently it's being shaped up to be alfresco dining and some entertainment if we could. I don't think there's any discussion to say, no, we won't have retail, or we will. So I think that's just in the planning process. And until our county works out the variance as far as alcohol being in those lots, Alameda, that we're really kind of stopped until that gets some clarification. As we learned this morning, we're the only county in California that doesn't have the variance to allow our restaurants and bars to serve alcohol outside their area.
Thank you, Linda, and thanks for raising that very good point about current. From what we know right now, it sounds like alcohol. ABC is not allowing alcohol to be served in these parklets yet. They're waiting for a variance from the county to allow that. So we are tracking that issue closely, and we'll be keeping that information up to date on our website and through our mailing list. So there's a question here: is the city still offering facade grants? If so, could we use them for creating these parklets? So the facade grant program is not going to be active in the fiscal year 2021 for the fiscal year 2021 program. In general, the program does it can be used for parklets. We've had people apply for parklets in the past. Hopefully it'll come back in 21, 22, and I realize that's a long way away, but it may be possible then. Here's a question: has there been any direct outreach to local businesses to let them know how this can help them stay open safely? I can speak just a tiny bit to this in terms of the communication we've done to businesses. We do have a reopening guide on our website that kind of directs to a lot of different resources for businesses that are looking to reopen and how they can do it safely, what the county guidelines are. There is information for the Commercial Streets program. We've also been sending out email blasts to our mailing list. If you are not on our business mailing list, I'm going to put my email address here from the city, and you can email me and I will make sure that you are added. And then we've also been working really closely with the business associations to get the word out. So Rochelle or Eric, is there other things you would add?
I'd just like to thank Barbara and Ron Mooney for submitting their application. I think also as more people see actual businesses, their neighbors doing parklets, people will become more interested. And we are accepting applications now, so call us, work with us. We want to get as many permits approved as possible. So
the next one is there a pathway to convert a parking space into takeout pickup only space during business hours?
Yes, there is. This I just put something in the chat, but to get a sign for 15-minute pickup drop-off only parking, send an email to the transportation@alamedaca.gov and let us know your business name, your address, and the number and location of the spaces that you would like to convert. And we will evaluate your request and get back to you. And that will be, if you've been on Park Street, you've probably seen those signs, but right now what we're doing is it's 24/7, basically. It's 15-minute parking, pickup drop off only at all times.
Okay. If a family comes downtown on their bikes, where will you suggest they park?
I'll answer that one. So we are working on, we've been working with DABA and we'll be working with WABA as well on putting in some in-street bike parking corrals. And so this will be multiple spaces for people to park their bikes. And we're looking at putting those approximately, well, even more densely than every block. So they'll mostly be on the side streets to Park Street. And like I said, on Webster Street, we still need to work more closely with WABA on where those would go. So those are in development, and we hope to have them installed within the next week or two. Okay. And the existing bike racks are also available.
So here's just a question who's saying, someone clarifying, are you suggesting that the whole of Alameda Avenue to Oak would be closed? I believe so. Is that the possible suggestion in the future or no?
No, I think the idea, and Kathy, you should jump in, but I think it's just
Sure.
a short segment from
Yes.
Park towards Oak, but we want to maintain access to all those driveways that are there.
Correct. So the idea would just be a portion of Alameda Avenue. Just on the other side, there's a private parking driveway on the other side of Romero and Sons Taqueria. That would remain open, as would the access to the parking lot in that area.
Again, it would be for a limited time frame.
So
Yes.
here's a question about, for food vendors, if there's a public or city-owned site that we want to occupy, who do we reach out to get permission?
That'd be you, maybe Eric, to
Yeah,
start
you
with?
could contact me. I put my email address in the chat. Contact me, tell me what you're interested in, what your idea, location, and we'll go from there.
How long will this whole process take from proposal submittal to approval?
Well, we hope we've streamlined the permitting, the fees, and hopefully it'll just be a matter of days. If we get flooded, hopefully we'll have a lot of applications coming in. It might take a little bit longer, but we want to move these proposals and applications as quickly as possible. I don't know, Lori, if you want to add anything to that, or Tanya.
I missed most of what was said because I've got such a poor internet connection today. But yeah, I'll get them done as quickly as I can.
So,
And
go
yeah,
ahead,
and I would just add that, you know, the more complete the application is, the faster we can process it. So if the insurance requirements are not correct, then they'll just be more back and forth. So just encourage you to read those requirements.
So we've got just a few minutes left. I have one more question, which is, how do we get bicycle racks in areas, in dead zones or areas that we want new bicycle racks?
If you this sounds like just a general question about bike racks. So if hopefully you're familiar with C-Click Fix, and within C-Click Fix, there's a category for requesting a bike rack. So that would be the best way to request that. And then I maintain a list of requests that we have. And we recently purchased a bunch more racks. So we have those in stock, and hopefully can, we'll evaluate it and get it installed. And we're generally, want to install those where we have more requests first, but we would add it to the list.
I'm going to put in the website for C-Click Fix here. So then that's a great resource for anyone who has anything they're looking to get done in the city with our Public Works Department. So,
and I could just add, sorry, Amanda, before we run out of time, I just want to add that I know in our site visits, two things were brought up that were kind of maybe discussed, but we didn't really get a clear idea of how this is going to work, and it has come up today to me, so I just wanted to share it with you all, which is trash pickup and service deliveries. I think in the field we kind of said that while the earlier in the morning the better, if you guys are having scheduled deliveries from your vendors, that's something you guys can help make the traffic flow not be as impacted because there's someone blocking the road. If there's an opportunity to deliver at the back of the business, that would be ideal. And trash pickups, I think some of the businesses have access to the back, but I believe some get picked up in from the street side. So ACI has concerns about the design or kind of what's happening, and so they are waiting to see how the businesses will, I guess, where you guys plan on placing your bins and kind of helping out this process. So those are the two things that I'm like, I'll use a Zoom meeting to kind of bring it up to everyone, that if you can share that with your delivery companies, please be mindful that there's been a road change, deliver our things here, and ideally using side streets or your back parking would be best. And then garbage pickup is, there's not much all of us could do about it besides see how it works in the next few weeks and being mindful about getting them out there on time early, because it'll be hard for them to navigate the streets once there's cars parked up and it's now beyond the early morning hours. Does that make sense? And you guys get that?
Thank you, Danya. Eric or Rochelle, is there anything you guys want to say to wrap up?
Thank you again. I want to thank Waba and Daba. Been working really closely, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact the business associations or contact us. We're very excited rolling out this program, and we want to make it succeed. Kathy, did you?
I did. I wanted to say a special thank you to all of the folks from the city. That for this to go from an idea, a suggestion, into reality, well, it has been, we're very appreciative for the time and the attention that you've all dedicated to this. So thank you for making this happen in what to city time is light speed. So thank you so much for your participation and support.
And ditto from this end as well. Thank you.
I think Sandy wanted to add something.
Yeah, just to all the fellow business owners, like this is not something we've done before, and something we're going to have to move. We're going to have to move pretty quickly on. And if you need any help or support, please reach out. We will do our best to help you. I know it's crazy times. We're all doing it, but I think this is going to be a good thing for all of us as soon as the ABC, or not the ABC, but the county will lift that restriction. So let's just get prepared now.
Right. Submit your applications. Talk to us.
All right, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we will have this and the presentation up on the city's website.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.